George, you got George coming in. I asked George, so at work, they're like, hey, can you see what's up with George and this Nate Diaz thing? I'm like, I'll ask, and I'll ask honestly as a friend, and he knows that I'm also employed by somebody, so we'll have a little conversation about it. But I will never, ever sacrifice a friendship or like a long-term relationship to like find something out.
That shit is not good
care
for you.
about, and I don't care about Twitter beefs, and I don't care about breaking news and all that. It's just not interesting.
Right.
It's not anything to do with my life. But I'll go ask George. So I asked George, who we are friends. We talked yesterday, and he will tell me the truth, and something as simple as, that's fucking bullshit. Maybe not in exactly those terms, but he would say.
Right.
But when I asked him about it, he's like, no, bro, I haven't signed nothing. And I looked at that and I'm like, oh my God, that's George trying to be deceptive.
Right.
George would normally go, it's BS, man, that's not happening. I know I haven't signed anything.
Well, I know they've offered him Nate Diaz.
Yeah, but that was George, who's shitty at being deceptive, trying to be deceptive. So like you said, they've offered it to him.
They've offered it to him.
And by saying I haven't signed it means he's considering it to me.
I think he's considering it, but I think he's also considering Khabib Nurmagomedov, and then there's always the great Irish leprechaun. I think those are the two big fights. The two big fights are Khabib at 155 or even 170. Yeah. GSP wants the winner of Conor McGregor versus Khabib, not Nate Diaz. Insider drops bombshell. And this is May 19th, Saturday. Oh. Yeah, I'm sure he wants that, but that fight would have to take place first, and who the fuck knows when Conor or Khabib would fight afterwards. If it's Conor, it might be a decade later. I mean, who the fuck knows what that guy's going to do now? When you give a guy like Conor $100 million, this is what happens. He's throwing dollies at bus windows and losing his fucking mind. And what's the matter, Jamie?
That UFC Insider was shop.
Was it?
Yeah, it was on his podcast. I just saw that. I just scrolled down.
It says UFC Insider. Why not they just say Brendan Schaub? Everybody knows who Brendan Schaub is, you fucking idiots.
That's fucking funny.
He's some obscure insider.
Yeah. Obscure.
Well, I'm sure he does want that, but if they offer him a fat paycheck, and they really should if they want. Look, the UFC's in a weird position. They bought the company for $4 billion. I don't know what it's worth, but I would guess it's probably not really worth $4 billion. They have a giant monthly nut. It's fucking huge. The monthly nut that they have to make caused them to fire 100 employees. I mean, there's a lot going on, and there's been some, great fights, and it's obviously still incredibly popular, but you want to make those big pay-per-view bucks. You need the big-name stars. GSP was always a big-name star, became even bigger when he came back and beat Bisping and won by finish and got him on a rear naked choke and put him to sleep. I mean, he's still a giant star. However, he hasn't fought in a while, vacated the title, doesn't have the title anymore. So it's not as big of a deal to the public's eyes.
Is it, though?
It is. Yeah. It is. People are dumb as shit, man.
Yeah. See, the funny thing to me is, I always feel like, and I always feel like a lot of these mechanisms, title shots, rankings, belts, Twitter beefs, they were intended to be there as a short-term solution to give people a talking point until they they got deeply invested and connected. Right. And I think that was, but yet somehow these sort of extra outside distractions became the focus. Mm-hmm. Who the fuck cares who's the number 8 guy? And who cares if these guys are mad at each other on Twitter? And the belt itself is a mechanism for discussion. What matters is the fight.